Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is bouncing from this important area of support here in the short term, while the price is getting extremely close to breaking out from this new pattern in the short term that we need to pay attention to. And on top of that, while this is happening, BlackRock just sold the most amount of Bitcoin that they've ever sold in a single trading day. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before we take a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to talk about the Bitcoin news today because we just now got the numbers in for Tuesday for the spot Bitcoin ETFs. And first of all, on Monday, we saw a net outflow of around $226 million from the spot Bitcoin ETFs. And on Tuesday, we saw a net outflow of around $1/3 billion, around $338 million, leaving the spot Bitcoin ETFs just on Tuesday. And this is based on the fact that we're barely seeing any inflows. Any inflows that we're seeing right now are very, very small, while we're seeing actually quite a lot of outflows from multiple Bitcoin ETFs, as we can see. And especially if we're looking at Tuesday on Christmas Eve, we saw the largest ever outflow in a single day from the BlackRock spot Bitcoin ETF of around 188, nearly $189 million, leaving just the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF alone just on Tuesday. And because these are spot Bitcoin ETFs, if there's inflows coming into the ETFs, then the ETF providers like BlackRock or Fidelity, for example, are having to buy Bitcoin if they have inflows into the ETFs. But if they have outflows leaving the ETFs, then essentially these ETF providers like BlackRock or Fidelity, for example, have to sell that Bitcoin to pay out the outflows in US dollars. And so that's what we just saw on Tuesday. Once again, the largest amount of Bitcoin that BlackRock has ever sold in a single day to pay out their largest ever daily outflow from that BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. And so it's definitely interesting to follow these Bitcoin ETF numbers because it was actually near the all-time high for the price of Bitcoin at much higher prices back up here that we're seeing massive net inflows, a lot of buying happening, even with this institutional money coming in through the Bitcoin ETFs. But then right now, after we've already seen the pullback in the short term, we're starting to see a lot of outflows, which is very interesting. And so in other words, the people that are buying and selling the Bitcoin ETFs, at least over the last few weeks, have been buying the Bitcoin ETFs at close to the top and selling the Bitcoin ETFs at close to this local low. So that's very interesting to follow once again. But that is the Bitcoin news today. If we're taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today on the weekly time frame, technically speaking, we can still remain within this larger bull run based on this bull run signal that confirmed around 3 months ago. And the last 2 times this confirmed, we saw a bull run in the price of Bitcoin over the next 1 year approximately. But of course, we can see pullbacks along the way during a larger bullish market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, we're still looking bullish in the MACD despite a loss in bullish momentum here in the short term, because as of right now, we've not confirmed a new bearish crossover in this indicator. So overall, it's still in the green. And we saw something very similar to this around 1 year ago, losing some bullish momentum after a big bullish move here. And what came next was a lot of choppy sideways price action for the next few weeks or so, just chopping around sideways, meaning short-term dumps and short-term bounces back up in the short term once again for a couple of weeks or so before eventually the continuation of the bull run later on. And so this is what I've talked about quite a lot recently here on the channel, saying that it's most likely going to play out this time around something similar. Obviously not the exact same, but we're likely going to see a bit of choppy sideways price action potentially for another few weeks or so. And then maybe at some point in January, some point later in January, we could end up seeing the continuation of the bull run later on. Something similar to what we saw last time. Once again, not guaranteed to be the exact same thing, but I do expect something similar. And if we're taking a look at the 4-day Bitcoin chart, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, we still have this weekly bearish divergence right now, technically confirmed on the Bitcoin chart. So obviously, this is the first significant warning signal on the larger timeframes for the price of Bitcoin. But as I've talked about recently here on the channel, this is one warning signal amongst a few different bullish signals that we still have on these larger timeframes. So of course, we need to pay attention to multiple charts, indicators, patterns, and signals, etc., rather than just rely or focus everything on one signal alone. And so what I've talked about recently here on the channel as a likely scenario moving forward is potentially a continued slowdown just in the short term due to this loss in bullish momentum and this bearish divergence on the weekly timeframe, a continued slowdown slowdown, but during the larger bull market. This is not necessarily the end of the bull market. We might be due to see a bit more of a slowdown and then the continuation of the bull market in 2025. And then potentially with that next push higher in the bull market, of course, that would create a new higher high if that were to play out, but that could possibly cause another lower high in the weekly Bitcoin RSI, basically reconfirming a larger bearish divergence or extending this bearish divergence. And then maybe at that point, after one major push higher, we might start a bear market at some point later in 2025. And so that is a quite likely scenario that we also have to consider. So once again, this is still technically a warning signal, but doesn't necessarily guarantee the end of the bull market right now at this moment. So overall, that is what I'm expecting in the shorter term and the longer term moving into 2025. And just before talking about other important Bitcoin charts today, getting ready for the next short-term movement, first, if you want to take these trades in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take a lot of trades over on Bitfinex, so I'll make sure to leave a link to Bitfinex below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is an exclusive deposit bonus that you can only claim using that link below this video to make your account and start trading on that account. So if you simply just click that link to do that and deposit $100, you get a $20 bonus, or if you deposit $500, you get a $100 bonus, or if you deposit just 1,000 USDT and start trading, you get a $200 bonus straight into your Bitfinex account. But once again, that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your Bitfinex account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And also, in case you're wondering, Bitfinex is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But for whatever reason, if you don't want Bitfinex, there is also Bybit as another option out there, another exchange I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video. And if you use that link, you can claim a 500 USDT position airdrop, but that is only available if you use the link below this video to make your Bybit account and deposit on that account. But with that being said, taking a look at this Bitcoin chart on the weekly time frame, and right now we technically still have that 102k level based on this 1618 Fibonacci extension level at 102,000, potentially acting as a major point of resistance considering the price currently is trading back below 102,000. So keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, technically speaking, this bearish divergence, at least as of recording this video, is still currently active, because in order to invalidate this bearish divergence, we need to ideally see a breakout in the RSI at least above this line of resistance. But ideally, if the RSI forms higher highs, that would be even better. That would be a strong invalidation signal to invalidate this bearish divergence. And if the price also creates a higher high, in that case, while the RSI is creating higher highs, that would invalidate the bearish divergence. But if the price creates a new higher high while the RSI is in lower highs, potentially we'll just have to reconfirm a new bearish divergence in that situation. And so the ideal outcome for the bulls out there in order to properly invalidate the bearish divergence would simply be a breakout in the RSI, because if we have higher highs in the RSI and higher highs in the price, then there's no divergence at all. But once again, technically speaking, despite this short-term bounce, the bearish divergence is still currently active, which means we could continue to see a bit of a slowdown or a cool-off during this larger bullish market. So once again, some choppy sideways price action as a likely scenario, or maybe a slight little pullback continuing at some point over the next 1 or 2 weeks. And if we're taking a look at this 12-hour time frame, right now the price of Bitcoin is continuing the perfect bounce from just above 92,000. Of course, we have major support close to 92,000 based on the volume profile indicator, showing a lot of support at around 91,000 to 92,000, and also previous support at just above 92,000, closer towards around 92.4k. And so in the short term, that is the important level of support to pay attention to. But if we see a confirmed break below around 92 to 91,000, then in that case, we do have a lot of support down towards around 87,000 as the next important level of support to the downside below 91 to 92,000. But obviously between now and then, we still have strong support at around 92,000. And we also could find some support right here at around 97 to 98,000, considering as of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is starting to break out back above 97 to 98,000 and is actually starting to flip that into new support. And so the short-term levels of resistance to watch out for are simply sitting at around 100,000. We do have a decent amount of resistance based on this previous rejection right here and this line right here sitting close to around 100,000. And above 100,000, once again, we have this level right here at around 102,000, which could also likely act as resistance. But if we can finally see a confirmed breakout back above 102,000, in that situation, there'll be a very strong probability that the price will continue up towards this all-time high. And around that all-time high, we could also find a bit of resistance around there at around 107 to 108,000. And if we're zooming into the short term again for the price of Bitcoin, looking at the 4-hour time frame, right now the price of Bitcoin is forming a potential W pattern, also known as a double bottom pattern, which is actually a bullish reversal pattern, and here in the short term could lead to a bullish breakout and a bullish price target being activated if we confirm the breakout above the neckline right here, which as of recording this video is sitting at around 99,000. And ideally we need to confirm that breakout with ideally at least a 4-hour candle close confirming above 99,000, and even better if we can get back above 100,000, that would be better because that could possibly trigger a short squeeze, as I've talked about recently here on the channel, if we break 100,000. But technically speaking, just based on this price pattern alone, once we confirm a breakout with a candle close above 99,000, and even better if we actually flip that into new support, which is not necessary, but that would further confirm the breakout. If that happens, then in that case, confirming a breakout above 99,000 will set up a bullish price target for this double bottom pattern here, this W pattern, and that price target would be sitting at around 106,000 approximately. And so from the point of the breakout to that price target from 99,000 to 106,000, that's around a 7% move towards the upside, which is a possible trading opportunity that we could take here, because obviously a 7% move with a 10x leverage long position, for example, would be a 70% profit, just for an example. But once again, I want to make it clear that as of recording this video, while the price has not yet broken out above 99,000 with confirmation, that price target is not active right now. It is not in play. So for all we know, we could still possibly see another rejection here. We first have to wait for confirmation. And as always, the point of invalidation would be if we break out to the upside. So for example, if we confirm a candle close just above 99,000, and then if we immediately confirm a candle close back below 99,000, that would invalidate the breakout and essentially be a fake out. That's what that's known as. If we see a breakout and then back to the downside, that would invalidate this price target. And so we can use this information to develop a bit of a trading strategy. As always, not financial advice, but just for an example, we could potentially enter some sort of long position or buy a bit of Bitcoin at just above the breakout point once we ideally see some confirmation with a candle close above this breakout point. And then potentially once we enter that trade, we could place a stop loss just below the point of invalidation. So if we actually dump back to the downside, they'll just hit the stop loss once the trade is invalidated to avoid any further losses in the worst case scenario. And then if the trade continues to move in the bullish direction, in that case, personally, with these breakout trades, I like to move my stop loss at least up towards my entry, ideally into profits as the trade moves further into profits, so that in the worst case scenario, that will just hit the stop loss in profits and close the trade automatically in profits. And then personally, when it comes to long positions, I look to take some profits around key levels of resistance along the way up and also close to the price target. Usually just before the price target, I take some profits. And so that's just an example of a trading strategy based on this chart right here, this breakout opportunity right here. As always, not financial advice. I'm just sharing these potential opportunities. And once again, if you want to take these trading opportunities for yourself, personally, I take a lot of trades over on those exchanges. Links down below if you want to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.